And we are back. Episode 2 of the Anabolic Mafia with myself, Dom Cardone, and my co-host, IFBB Pro, Chris Massaro. What's up, dude?
What's up, man?
Not too much. Another day. We had a great reaction from everybody with the episode 1. We got some feedback that you filled me in on, but overall is very positive. So thank you to everybody that subscribed and liked. So in the last episode, we said it at the end, so we're going to say it now. So please like, subscribe, comment, help us out to get into the algorithm. Again, thank you to everybody who did it in the first episode. And I asked Chris before we went into this, we didn't do our Q&A, but he reminded me that we didn't get to some of your questions last week. So we're going to be getting into the remaining questions from last week's Q&A before we ask for new ones. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into it, dude.
Yeah, man, always. We had a pretty awesome response. I had a lot of people reach out to me that saying it was captivating, a lot of fun listening to you guys. Can't wait for more, like all good stuff. Some stuff, we had some pretty funny comments as well. Some people were just like butthurt about some of our approaches to things. Like, all right, but good, even more engagement. I like it.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, that guy, he was very passionate about taking long off seasons or not taking long off seasons.
Yeah.
But as you said, we're definitely open to a little bit of healthy debate in the post. Of course, this is our opinion.
Yeah.
Which a lot of our opinions are based off of our experience with ourselves and clients. But overall, it was great. Did anybody? Oh, there was actually one person who mentioned we need to add. What are they called? When you click in the sections in a certain time.
Yeah. I'll figure that out. Yeah.
It's like chapters. It's like chapters, and you can go through the video a lot easier. I know last video we did like an hour and a half. So this one we'll probably do like 40 minutes, 60 minutes. We'll see how much we get through. But yeah, man, do you want to get right into it?
Into the questions or just into chatting about stuff?
No, let's get right into questions. We'll go off on rabbit holes with the questions anyway.
Yeah, we would get right into it because there's a few things that I was thinking about this week anyway, which kind of tie into the questions. And one being, okay, so a big issue that I see just as a bodybuilder, people coming up to me asking questions as a coach and everything, is people right away like, oh no, I need help with I really just need help with like the PEDs and stuff, or I just need help with like dialing diet. I got training down, I'm good. And funny thing is, I see these people in the gym and they train like absolute pussies. So they're just going nowhere near failure. The volume is just, listen, I'm not against low volume and training heavy, but there's a time and a place. But for the most part, like they've never even felt what it's like to train past that moment of pain, that you truly need if you're trying to put size on.
So that is actually a great question / statement from yourself, but because I put in my story last week, what is more, does perfect nutrition make up for poor training to kind of get people going? And that's, you're right. So many people today haven't felt what it's like to go past that true threshold of pain into failure. I mean, I know you have, I know I have, especially you training way back in the day with Jason Jason's dad, Paul, and your own training style. And then obviously myself with everybody I've trained with before. And, as it was taught to me, and I think you'll agree with this, especially earlier on in your career, to look abnormal, you got to do abnormal things.
Yeah.
And going past that pain threshold to put on extreme amounts of muscle is needed, at least earlier on. When you get older, things change, which you and I can get into. But I remember back then I was told we're human, right? If we pinch ourselves in the skin, it's going to get to get to a certain point where we're going to stop. Like, oh, that hurts. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing in the gym. And that's another barrier that I believe people, held back by is they're humans. That's why a good training partner is very important. So aside from people not knowing how far to push it and two, being human, they hold back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hold back with volume, hold back with intensity. And I think also with form, and form being like, I try to explain this to people. So having like proper execution will far outweigh just beating yourself up and just getting tired. Like, it's not about being tired. That's just going to happen. But lo and behold, if you're training with proper execution, doing things right, you're going to get the right things tired anyway. You're going to get the right amount of pain. And I said this to someone recently. It was like, anything to make an exercise safer is going to make you grow faster. Anything you're doing to make the exercise easier, however, is probably the wrong thing to do. Like, if you're doing like lateral raise and you're just swinging your arm like this, okay, number one, unsafe, probably for your rotator cuff. If you're doing like extra rotation, versus slow down your tempo, actually feel that squeeze, actually slow down your negative and everything, making sure that you're feeling the deltoid. Like, you're doing the hardest thing possible, so you're going to grow more, and it's going to be the safest thing too. So, do you agree with that?
I definitely agree with that because I didn't do that early on. I mean, I still grew because I was young, and
Yeah.
of course, look at Branch. I mean, he threw things around and still grew. So, of course, that doesn't apply to everybody, but that's actually one thing that I wish I did earlier on, was take a bit of my ego out of it. I was still plenty strong. If I controlled my negatives a bit more and controlled I didn't have to be so explosive either. I could have went a bit slower and paid attention more to my form if I brought back the weight. And I do think I absolutely 100% believe I would have been way more developed back then. Thankfully, I've never had any injuries from that. Now, my back injury didn't happen in the gym, but I'm sure the damage that accumulated with my training led to the injury that I had in 2018. And I definitely agree with you, because I do have some clients that are earlier on in their bodybuilding career journey, whatever we want to call it. And at first, they're trying to be super, super strict with their form, like super strict, to the point where it kind of holds them back. And I'm like, listen, it's actually this kid, Anthony.
Yeah.
He's a good kid, great client. And I told him, listen, Anthony, you're young. He sends me videos every week, and he's trying to be super strict, which is great. I'm like, listen, you're early on. I go, we have a little bit more room for you to up the intensity a bit and still not be out of form, but not have to worry about being so robotic. And it made such a difference in his physique and his training. Have you followed along that same guideline, or do you like with your clients be super strict?
So, okay. So I was actually I had someone shadowing me recently because I'm trying to teach him how to like train people basically. I just don't have time to take on clients. So I'm like, I'm going to train you to be a better trainer, but I'm going to teach you how to actually train people. Like, you're great at knowing your exercise, but I'm going to teach you how to train people. And something that I told him is, with some of my newer people, I don't need them to be an A+. I need them to be like a B-. You know what I mean? Like, especially if you're not strong enough to really even lift heavy enough to hurt yourself yet. Like, I'm not too worried, and we're going to get better over time. And I'm going to give them a fun workout. They're going to have, a great time. They're going to get a pump, and it still leaves room for me as a trainer to still kind of tweak some angles and everything. Hey, like, do your tricep press down like this, put your elbow right here. Oh man, I really feel that a lot more. So it improves the duration of like how much I can train them as a coach. But also, like I said, like it doesn't matter that much. Like, and then at the same time, if you're going so slow on your negatives, you're going so slow on your positive, you're squeezing for 5 seconds. Now you're just getting tired, and you're not going to be able to train with the amount of weight you need to use to grow. And you're just getting tired too early. And I'll say this too, when it comes to sloppy form. So I'll do a lot of my full repetitions, and then I call them shorts. I'll do like the lengthened partials, which everyone just found out about apparently after Ronnie did them 30 years ago. So yeah, lengthened partials work, and they might look sloppy, but I've been doing this for so long, and you'll talk to other like people who've been training for so long, that I can kind of hit my bicep and have my form be a little bit off. My form might look a little bit different because my body shape is different. And it's kind of like everything works after a while. Does that make sense? Like, you can be a little sloppy at the end of a set and it still be safe because you're still doing it correctly, but it might just look a little sloppy.
So Turner Riddle, do you know who Turner is?
No.
He competed quite a bit naturally back in the day. He was in, he was with Matt Jansen, Dallas. He was in like the Tennessee crew. They were the Southern boys, great, trained hard, like our type of like training. And he posted last week, would you rather towards the end of your set kind of do like a half rep, but still be able to complete another rep? Or would you rather lose a rep and still get that full range of motion? And I said, I'd rather get a half rep and be able to do another rep than do 1 rep less, obviously within reason. We don't want it to be so sloppy.
Yeah.
Chris, can you give an example of your lengthened partials for, like, let's say biceps? What would you do?
Yeah. Like, so biceps would be perfect. So let's say I'm doing like a preacher curl on for biceps and everything. And I'm going to get, let's say 7 or 8 reps, full squeeze. I'm going to squeeze it all the way in, making sure I'm supinating perfectly, going all the way down, stretching. There's going to be a point that my bicep is so freaking pumped that I can't even get it up any further. Okay. It's especially true for hamstrings too. The more pumped you get, the less range of motion you can actually have. So what do? Just put it down? No. Now you're starting to feel that pain. You're going to grow more, in my opinion, if you continue those repetitions, get another 7 or 8 repetitions, going all the way down that stretch position and then going halfway up. And you ask anybody, as soon as you start heading these lengthened partials and they're like, oh my God, I've never felt pain like that before. Or they're doing the opposite where they're just kind of cranking up here. That's just bullshit. I don't mess with that. But it's especially true for bicep curls, especially true for hamstrings. And I think back to, as your back gets bigger, you get more pumped. You're not going to be able to get your elbows all the way back anymore. You're going to get more pumped. So stretching those lats and pulling what you can, at least getting your shoulders moving, I think is still going to be super beneficial for growth.
Yeah. So you're prolonging the set in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, if we can prolong and extend, whatever word anybody wants to use, a set, and really be able to push that within reason of not getting injured, I think that's where true muscle growth happens. You can only do so much, like, like you said, you're CNS system just from the constant contraction and squeezing. Listen, which is good. I love people who make a conscious effort towards that. But you're going to be tired before before you even get into the real work.
Mm-hmm.
I remember how, I think it was Arnold, whoever, when it starts hurting, that's when the set starts. Again, within reason. I don't want people to take that too literally. Yeah. But yeah, I believe trying to extend a set with the right person, especially when they're more experienced, is the way to go to really grow. Because, I mean, dude, do you feel training is better, the training knowledge as a whole with the general public in bodybuilding is better today than, let's say, 5 years ago? Like, when you look at people as a whole?
No, not really. I think that people are way overcomplicating it. And if this might sound complicated, what we're talking about, it's not. You're training, like, give me 1 second. I'll grab this for you right now. This is what I learned on.
Okay.
I bought this book like 20 years ago. Okay. It just shows the basic movements of fucking bicep curls and squats and everything, and what muscles it works. And then you add a few lengthened partials. But now with this whole like optimization, everything's being optimal, everything's science-based and everything, like, I don't see anybody getting bigger from that necessarily. I don't see anybody getting better. All the biggest guys, like all the best bodybuilders, in my opinion, are training pretty old school for the most part. I don't see anybody really making some kind of crazy science experiment and then getting huge.
I agree. Unless they're just some obscene genetic freak that grows looking at a barbell. But I also believe, and you made a great point, and I knew that was going to be your answer because I feel the same too.
Yeah.
I mean, you used to walk into a gym years ago and people were just cranking it out. Was it the most prettiest thing? No, but it worked. Of course, you could refine things. And when I look at guys on stage today, we're missing that wow factor when it comes to quads and back, except for you. You got that fucking that turtle shell XL and quads. Like, especially being at USA's this year, even the Tampa Pro, we don't see a lot of that crazy outer sweep and the thick adductors, just that crazy quad density, and the guys with the back. I mean, the thick in-your-face detail and density. If we look at a guy from the side, it kind of looks like they're wearing a backpack or a turtle shell. We don't see a lot of that today. And what do those body parts have in common? You need to train the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
You need to pummel them. And people aren't really getting in the trenches like that with those body parts anymore. All the body parts.
And I'll bring this up too. So let's be open and honest here. If you're taking PEDs, you can train harder. You can train harder while you're in the gym. You can recover faster. You can do it again. So when people talk about the optimal amount of, volume, it's going to be different if you're completely natural, and it just is what it is. And you got to find that out for yourself. If you're training, you know, balls to the wall, right? And you can't get back in the gym and train as hard. You're getting tired all the time. You're almost, I've trained so hard that I felt sick before, you know, like literally, like I felt like I got the flu the next day.
Mm-hmm.
That's overtraining, you know, like if you're not eating enough, there's so many other factors that cause your training to be optimal or suboptimal. You got to find that for you. You know, like for me, you know, like I train 2 on 1 off, 2 on 1 off, repeat. That's great for me. Yes, I'm taking testosterone. I have peptides. I have things to help me recover. I'm eating a shit ton of food right now. You know, like, so yeah, I can train pretty freaking hard. And my volume is up there during the week and my volume's up there during the day. And I feel absolutely fine. If you don't feel fine, yeah, you got to back off. I just don't see that as an issue. I see an issue more in the diet anyway, in that aspect, you know?
And you make a good point. There's more to it than just one thing. I mean, listen, the drugs are one piece, but sleep, the food, and everybody's recovery capability is different as a whole. But if you're an enhanced bodybuilder, you still have a much larger capability to recover. So that is kind of a safeguard. And I think people put in their head long before it even happens, oh, I'm overtrained. I'm fatigued. I'm building up too much fatigue. I need to like take a deload. And then people are taking deloads every 3 to 4 weeks. And it's like, why? You weren't even pushing in the first place. I feel like a lot of these people make stuff up in their head and like, no, I feel it. I feel it. Listen, you could convince yourself of anything. How many times did we hear about fatigue back then?
No, you didn't.
You didn't.
And now, if you'd embarrass too, you wouldn't talk about it. You just suck the fuck up too.
Or you just take a day off. Take a day off or pull back for a few days on your intensity. You wouldn't have to sit, I need to take a deload this week and change my flux capacitor and
it's
put the uranium. It's like, it doesn't have to be this complicated.
No, it doesn't. I've seen that between the constant deloading and it's like scheduled deloads. Like how do you know? How do you know what you're going to feel like in 3 or 4 weeks? And also, especially let's say you're an off-season push, like, you know, if things are going in the right direction, you should be titrating your food. You should be titrating your drugs and everything to be going in a certain direction, right? Which is up bigger. You should be feeling better for a certain amount of time. There's going to be a point 12 weeks, 16 weeks in that, you start going back down again. Like, okay, now, you know, but it shouldn't be every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks. It shouldn't be like a planned thing at the end of every month to take a deload.
No, and some people would argue you and say, well, if you do it, you'll be able to prolong your training cycles even longer. Within reason, yes, but no, it's not going to happen like that. So again, I quote him a lot. Oscar would say back then, he was like, stop planning things. He goes, your body doesn't know if it's training legs today. Your brain didn't wake up this morning and say, oh, today's chest and bicep day. Like, it doesn't work like that. So there were some mornings, and it was every once in a blue moon, I would wake up and I'd be like, it would happen once in a blue moon. Everything was so routine and regimented for a while. And I remember one day specifically, I woke up, I'm like, man, I really don't feel like training today. So that's like symptom number one, as you know, of like overtraining. If you don't feel like training and your motivation is low, which of course would be being lazy, but if you don't have that same excitement to train, your sleep is a little wacky, your energy is down, most likely you need a break. Now, me saying this, I hope none of my clients hear this, because some of them are going to take it so literal and tell me the same, oh, I think I've been dealing with that lately. And it's, again, people convince themselves of things, but back then that's what we did. And it was once in a blue, and I'll be like, okay, tell me how you feel. I'm like, I don't feel like training today. He's like, well, I know for you that's abnormal, so let's take off today and we'll push the schedule forward today. He's like, your body doesn't know. So that's what we did. We literally, you know, people make fun these days of the listening to your body quote.
Yeah. Your body's a bitch. Stop listening to
it. Right. But also, too, you do need to listen to your body sometimes.
If you know, if you can speak that language, though. A lot of people can't speak that language.
Yes. So I love how you got to speak that language. A lot of people don't know how to do that. And some people do it too well, to the point where they're so hyper aware that they don't know which end is up and which way is down.
Or they start making stuff up. You become a hypochondriac, like,
right.
Like, oh, I ate this food and I think my cortisol is up. And like, dude, you don't even know what you're talking about. Like, you're fine. You know, like, this is what people need to understand. Like, when we talk about you don't feel like going to the gym, like, I've had those days. and we've talked about it. Like they're like, hey man, like my body's not responding. My lifts are going down. That's usually a good thing to look at too. Like if you're generally weaker or genuinely weaker in the gym, it's probably not a good sign. Especially if like drugs are up and food is up and you're getting weaker, that's probably not a good sign. But like, and also be honest with yourself too. Have I been sleeping? Like, no. Have I been drinking all my water? Like, be amazed how many people are just dehydrated all the time and they just feel like shit. Right. Like, or they're overloading on caffeine. They had like 600 milligrams of caffeine and it's like 9 a.m. You're probably going to feel a crash and not want to go to the gym after work or something. Like, there's a lot of other factors in there. But when we talk about overtraining, it's like, for me, I feel so run down. I feel like I have the flu and I'm like, okay, like now it's time to take that actual like few days off, like a week off. And that's like once a year, really, maybe twice a year at most, so if you feel like that all the time, then something's got to change in what you're doing with your entire load that you're taking during the load you're taking. No, but I mean, like with are you getting enough sleep? Are you drinking enough water? Are you eating enough food to recover? Like there's so many other factors besides for like, I'm just training too hard. Like probably not.
Are your PEDs real? That's a big one. Everybody's like, oh, my stuff's real. I got it. No, most of the stuff out there is underdosed or mislabeled. And it's an important part of what we're talking about because you could be doing everything else right. I mean, everything else right. And that's a big limiting factor right there. If your stuff is junk, what do you half enhanced, quarter enhanced, whatever it is. So that's another factor I think people need to keep in mind with overtraining. It is hard to overtrain, but like you, I mean, I don't really lift weights anymore. So once in a while, but as I told you with the jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai and everything, I'm telling everybody on here to listen to their body. Meanwhile, the last 3 years I've trained until I was literally sick for 3 weeks, 4 weeks at a time. So just listen to us because we're talking from experience when it comes to this. It is very hard though to become overtrained as an enhanced bodybuilder that's doing everything right and training right.
And that's a good way to end that thought. And I'll say this too. When I have people come up to me and they say, oh man, I'm doing everything right, I'm not changing, like, then you're not. Very plain simple, you're not. Oh, I'm eating a lot and I'm not growing, then you're not eating enough. Like it's very, very simple that people just don't want to hear that, like, so you go down your checklist of what you're doing, and then like you said before, like if you really are following this amazing diet, you're getting enough sleep, all this kind of stuff, then maybe your PEDs are not real, but like I really highly doubt that you're overtraining. I don't think that's the issue.
Yeah, most people need to push harder.
And on that note, I have to say this because I got to give props to the boys because I can't tell you how many guys I've seen. So if people don't understand what like a special force selection is like, I saw guys who like weighed like 140 pounds. They're carrying a ruck that weighs well over 100 pounds. In those 3 weeks, you do about 200 miles with almost all of those miles with that ruck on your back. You're doing it through the woods, through the water. You're not changing your clothes. You eat 3 MREs a day. Maybe you get an extra one during land nav where you're traveling. The average movement for land nav for me was like between 7 kilometers and 15 kilometers. And we got to do 4 a day. So like, it's you're out there for 13 hours straight on your feet, not taking any breaks. If you take a break for too long, they stop you and kick you out. What I'm getting at is you do all these miles and guess what? They're all fine. Like they didn't have cancer afterwards. They didn't like die. They just suck it the fuck up. And if you pass, you pass, and then you get to move on. Like what people think is overtraining is like so far beneath what the body is capable of. And after I saw like guys like that, like I know I was suffering, and then I look over and see some guy 100 pounds less than me with the same amount of weight in his back, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna keep going straight because I feel bad for that guy.
And that's why I got to be careful with you and your preps because I know you did all that. So the normal prep fatigue and the grind of prep, I know you could be fucking ready to be 1 foot in the grave and prep and you'll be like, I'm fine. So
I'm trying to figure that out.
Even being at the shows, you just had a smile on the entire time, which was great. It was so different than what I'm used to being around with guys. If you had a great attitude, you were positive, you were smiling, but it made it so easy for me. But that's why I got to be careful with you because I know you've been through that process. Yeah, you've been through that process. So
it's funny when you say the heart rate thing for the Stairmaster, I'm keeping mine down. Because like my heart rate's already really low, but I'm like, well, I could fucking sprint on this bitch. Like, let's go. And Andrew's like, hey, like, slow it down. I'm like, all right, like, let's keep us in the right zone, So
getting ready for the USA's, you're not an SF selection.
No, yeah, because I get a little wild on the Stairmaster once in a while and just start yelling at myself. I'm kind of a psychopath, is what it is.
That's all right. You and Joey are the same with that.
Yeah, I don't know why. I get off by feeling a little bit of pain, but so let me get on that point too. So when you first started lifting and getting into bodybuilding, for me, I want to see if this is the same for you. When it came to dieting and training hard, it wasn't about like what was optimal. I didn't care about that. It was like, how freaking hard can I diet myself and how freaking hard can I train myself to get on stage? It wasn't about how much I can take. It wasn't how much I can take to get away from training hard. It was like, how hard can I freaking go and push myself? And then that's probably what's going to win. Like, is that how you thought? I don't know.
With training, yes.
Yeah.
With diet, I just followed what my coaches said. But for me, it was never running. Again, Oscar would say, run towards the pain, not away from the pain. He goes, that's what's going to make you great. And he was right. A lot of people, that human natural reaction, let me get a little bit closer. Oh, no, that's too painful. Let me stop. So no, it was always, let me give this my absolute fucking all. Because I know if I don't, there's somebody else who's getting ready for the same show that will. And, I think a lot of guys get complacent. Oh, they're not working as hard as me. No, somebody out there is working as hard as you, if not harder. So I would always tell myself, somebody out there is working harder than me, and I'm not going to let them fucking beat me. So every time I stepped on stage, I was never nervous. Never nervous. I know everybody's different with that, but it's because I gave it my absolute fucking all. And I was like, whatever happens, happens. I knew I did everything I possibly could. And again, everybody handles competition nerves differently, but that's how I train my mind to not be nervous, because the entire prep, you're just not outworking me. You're not going to outpose me. You're not going to outtrain me. You're not going to outdiet me. I don't give a fuck, you know? And so, no, I'm definitely in the same boat as you. Dude, we come from the same old school mentor era, if we want to call it that, where that was the philosophy. It was like, do or fucking die.
Yeah. Not to mention like our dads. Like, I know your dad does like physical labor. My dad was doing construction and stuff. Like, it was get off school, go do like whatever practice I had. Then I had to go home and help my dad fucking move cement, crawl under crawl spaces, and do as much work as I could before I went to bed. And I'm like, oh no. Like, I hated my dad when I was a kid. I was like, come on, I just want to go home.
Couldn't stand him. We couldn't stand him. Meanwhile, we're very, I know you are grateful for having that childhood, as I am, made us who we are today. It actually reminds me of sometimes that I'm a pussy today, because my dad, our dads were 7 days a week, morning till night. And now I'm like, damn, I sit behind a computer. I'm like, you pussy, talking to myself. You don't want to.
My dad still can't believe that I make a living like training people. Like, he's like, yeah, so is that pretty good for you? I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's all right. My dad at one point even though he was bodybuilding, I remember he said, maybe time to get a real job, when I was doing it as a side thing.
Yeah.
And he didn't realize where it could go.
I don't think any of us did.
No, I mean, I didn't back then. I mean, I went full time with this March 2018. But yeah, that mindset was ingrained in us from young, from blue collar work, we wanted something, we had to work for it. And I'm glad we had that, because that was transferred us to an easy journey in bodybuilding. So, people's upbringings that's actually a great point, Chris. People's upbringings do reflect a lot in, the sport that they're participating in.
Yeah, 1000%. And it's funny because there's some guys I'll meet, guys and girls, but like, I'm just going to say guys, use guys, who I meet, and I'm like, this guy's never felt any pain before. They've never been punched in the face before, like they've never felt like that, and I think that some of those things are needed, like I had calluses when I was a kid, like from wheeling around the wheelbarrow and stuff. I was wrestling around my brother and everything. And I'm grateful for that. He bullied me as a kid, which is good, because then I grew some shame, but like, and I do think that the world's gotten a little bit soft, but it's not their fault. Like, I can't blame you for not having to go through something hard. If this is the first hard thing you've done, that's why I tell them, like, hey, if you're going to be with me and I'm coaching you for a show, it's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done.
The dog.
Yeah. But, and I said, it's going to suck. You're going to suffer, but it's going to make you a better person. It's going to change your character. And in the end, you're going to love it or you're going to hate it. And that's okay. If you hate it, you never do it again. But at least you have a great experience. If you love it, great. It's going to make you better and you'll be better the next time. And you'll be ready for that. So
I think it's important to tell them, like, listen, take these lessons you learn in bodybuilding and hold them forever, because those people that haven't had those experiences as a child, or, a lot of people didn't have both their parents in their life early on, like you and I did. And I know we both lost our moms young. But a lot of people didn't have both their parents. Maybe they didn't have a father figure to bring them to work and, teach them these things. So when these young guys get into bodybuilding, there's so much to learn from it. And it's a lot more than just social media pictures and videos. And it goes a lot deeper than training, because you can take the lessons that you learn from the hardships inside bodybuilding and apply them to your life. And that's why a lot of it, people trying to soften bodybuilding up does bother me. Is it a who can do stuff the hardest contest? No. But there has to be a certain point of it to, be able to carry into other parts of your life. At least that's what I believe.
No, I understand. And what I was saying before about trying to make it the hardest, that was me as a teenager, and don't get me wrong, like, I enjoy pushing myself. There's a certain satisfaction you get after saying, like, man, I really couldn't do more there. But yes, now as a professional, I have to know when that limit is, cardio, whatever. We need to know when to add the carbs back in, not just, like, that's different. What I'm saying is, don't be afraid of suffering, though. It's going to be good for you to a certain extent,
I agree.
And on that note, since been talking about training and everything and pushing, I'm going to bring up that question. So start going into some of these questions. We're already past the half hours. It's crazy.
Oh my God. I didn't even realize.
Yeah, I know. So I'm going to get right into the questions, and, we'll probably go down to some kind of rabbit hole anyway, but gives us the, let's see here. So best training approach for volume and frequency. And I think you had a similar question as well on your end.
Yes, I did. Somebody asked what was the most optimal training style / intensity / volume / frequency, I believe. So it was very similar.
Yeah. So I want to hear your take on it.
Overall, so I don't like to generalize everything, right? Obviously, there are some people who can handle more frequency than others. But for the most part, for bodybuilding, a higher volume approach is going to be the way to go. Now, I know somebody's going to say, oh, but Dorian Yates, that's Dorian Yates. He had elite level genetics. Yeah. Did it work for him? Yes. Mm-hmm. Sorry, my dogs may start barking. There were very few other bodybuilders that did it, but notice how they didn't have the detail to the muscle, or that specific unique roundness that comes with it. Mm-hmm. And I believe, if I'm correct, the trend with the public right now is this like lower volume approach. I think people are arguing about.
Yeah, with like Mike Metzer and
is that what it is?
I think it's a mixture between that, and I think it's between that, Dorian kind of getting more popular again, and like the RP approach, like a mixture of all that.
Gotcha. Yeah, that would make sense, because there's something like that in social media. So, I've spoken about it before. For me, 4 days a week was the best I ever did. I've also had great results in 6 days a week. Mm-hmm. So finding that point between 4 to 6 days a week is going to be the way to go. But as a whole, that higher volume part, and I'm not saying super high volume, but you do need to get the reps for the most part over 12 on most things. Now, there's certain compound movements that you may get 8 on. Like, I had some sets of 8, but then we were doing drop sets after to prolong the set. So it was never just 6 to 8 or 5. And I did like having, what was that? No, not since I was like 16.
Yeah, right.
15. Yeah, when I was 15 or 14.
I have no idea what my max bench is. I don't
Yeah,
even count them. So
as bodybuilders, you don't do that. It's stupid. It's
yeah.
like, why are you going to put yourself at risk of injury? Like, we both knew that very young because we got into bodybuilding young. It's
Mhm.
just putting you at risk of injury for no reason. A 1 rep max is not conducive to muscle growth in any way, shape, or form.
No.
And for anybody that says, "Oh, it's good to know where your strength is," no, throw some weight on the bar and get 10 reps, get 12 reps. So again, to summarize what I'm saying, I do like a higher volume approach. It doesn't mean that you need to train 6 or 7 days a week. It could be 4, it could
Mhm.
be 5, it could be 6. So
Yeah. So I'm in full agreement. So I think that you need to find the volume that works best for you. And I know there's going to be some scientific nerds out there. Like, what about myofibular hypertrophy versus sarcoplasmic? If people don't know what that means, so one is talking about the amount of fibers stimulated, like for an amount of muscle. In other words, density. If you're looking for muscle density, yeah, I think that's generally in the heavier weight, which is like 8 to 10, maybe even 6 to 10. They say, like, I saw the study where it's like 5 to 30 reps is all the same. I don't exactly think that. I don't believe that. I think majority of our hypertrophy is going to be like above 10 reps, above 12 reps. Oftentimes I'm doing sets of 20 or 30 on squats. Like,
there
I
you
think
go.
for legs, yeah, like I think for legs, like you need a lot of reps and volume. They just blow the hell up. Now, I will say that I have a kind of weird approach that I've liked to do over the years, and I kind of play off Lee Haney, where he said, stimulate, don't annihilate. I do both. So I stimulate with some heavy weight first. So I work my weight up. I don't count the warm ups and the build ups. I'm just doing a rep or two just to feel it, so I don't like injure myself. And I'm doing that specifically to build my strength back up. So like in my incline bench, I'm trying to get my bench back up so I can lift the amount of weight I need to lift at the right amount of volume to grow my muscles, if that makes any sense. So I'll train heavy, like literally one set heavy, and then I'll back off, and then I annihilate myself with a bunch of reps. So if I'm like the other day, I did 425 for a few reps, but then I dropped it down to 385 and did my sets of 10, and then 365. And then it was like a set of 12, 315 for a set of 20.
Was this a continuous drop set or was it back off sets?
No, those are my back off sets, but I
Gotcha.
call those my actual working sets.
Okay.
So I stimulated myself with some heavy weight, and then I did a bunch more reps. I don't do that all the time, but on specific movements where I want to build up some strength, I'll do that. But for the most part, like, yeah, I'm in the same rep range as you were talking about.
Okay. Yeah, no, both our philosophies are similar. I didn't do much of the back off sets. We just didn't. I mean, we did a fuck ton of drop sets,
Yes.
like especially squats, obviously chest movements, deadlifts. We did probably didn't have to do it, but we would build up to a max set in deadlifts and then rest forever long and then do like 275 for like as many
Yeah.
reps as possible. We were
Yeah, like
flying.
one big back off. That's what.
It-
So when I trained with Jason Huh's father, Juan, who was Mr. Korea back in like 1984 and 1986, the guy looked phenomenal. So he trains hard as shit. Like, I mean, when I was building up my sets, I had to get one. So quick little story back here talking about volume. If people think this is too much, I'm sorry. So I had to get in there. So let's say I had the training session with him at 2 p.m. I'd show up at like 1 or 1:30. I'd have to get my extensions in, hamstring curls in, and then I have to get over and like stretch out my chest, stretch out my back so I get under the bar because it was pretty thick at the time. And then I would have to do my 1 plate, 2 plate, 3 plate, 4 plate, and 5 plates. So I'd have to have 5 plates on by the time he walked over. So at 2 p.m., if I didn't have 5 plates on the bar to start my first set, it wasn't, he'd be mad. He'd just walk away. And he would just not even talk. He would just go like this and then walk away. So 495 was how I started my squats. And it was a set of 12 to 14. And there was 545 or 585. Then we go 600 and something. Then we go, so we kept working up. And I'm like, oh man, I don't think I'm feeling good today. And he's like, that's not okay. And I'm like, okay. He's like, you're going to do the weight. And I'm like, okay. And so I wouldn't look. You just slap plates on there and do it again. And he's like, you can't have a bad day. And I'm like, okay. So if anybody's offended by my Asian accent, sorry, but this is how we talk. I didn't say much more than that. And then after that, then we do a back off set of like 500 pounds for like 15 or some shit like that. And I would be destroyed. And he's like, okay, leg press. And we do the same thing again for leg press. And then hack squats and all this. So like that's when I realized like, oh, I can take a lot more and I'm okay. So I went off on a tangent there. I'm sorry, but
So I think people could learn something from that.
yeah. So I think to answer that question, high volume is better in our opinions for the most part. Just got to find the right frequency for yourself.
With some heavy poundages mixed in, like you
Yes.
have laid out, very detailed.
Yeah. I think I'll say this too, that something like deltoids and arms, I can train pretty often, like every few days. I recover from that really fast. Like back and legs, though, I need like pretty much a full week, at least 5 days.
I agree. Unless your intensity is brought way down, but I don't really.
And I don't like that. So the whole spreading the volume where you do like a few sets of quads like every 2 days, like I don't like that. Just go crush it, you know?
Crush it, finish it, and let your body recover.
Yeah, agreed. All right. Speaking of frequency.
Injection frequency.
Yeah.
Okay. Thoughts on it? I mean, this could go with anything. Are we talking about testosterone or drugs as a whole? So I know this is actually a client who asked this, which he doesn't need any more injections because he failed to tell me that for the last 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, he's gotten these massive lumps with anything he is injected.
That's not good.
He's like, is this normal? He sends me a picture. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, you get this with everything you do, with any brand of anything you've ever done? He's like, I get this with any brand of gear, peptides. I'm like, okay, we have a problem that we need to figure out. Apparently somebody else he's worked with in the past told him it's normal. So he doesn't need to be injecting anymore, but
could be benzoyl bothering him.
Could be. Yeah.
I know, because I know that like I won't use his name, but he had to switch TRTs to a test enanthate that doesn't have BB in it because he would swell from BB and incipionate and propionate. Yeah, or sus. So
could be.
And too much BB is not good for your kidneys after a while anyway, they say too.
No.
But yeah,
I know,
keep going. Sorry.
You told me who told you that.
Yeah.
So again, you will see on paper and people saying that injecting your stuff every day is the way to go. Now, with some people, that's correct. Me, if I inject my TRT, and I'm on true TRT, I'm a skinny guy, I tried injecting it every day. I did not feel the same as splitting it up twice a week for me. My libido went down. I didn't have that same drive that you would get from testosterone. I didn't feel anything. Did my blood work? Estrogen was normal. Could have been the SHBG, but for me, I need, twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I feel my best. Now, there are some people who do feel their best on daily shots, but there's also is that even sustainable? Because it became so annoying to have to remember to do that. Dude, I was taking PEDs for most of my life. And at this phase in my life, I don't even want to take my TRT anymore. If I could do without it, I would. I feel better without it anyway, overall, in terms of clarity, sleep. I just take it so I can have a libido and recover somewhat.
Yeah.
So with most people, they're going to get sick of injecting every day. So you have to think too, like it's cool, like for the first couple of weeks, but then it catches up to you very quick. And anybody that's done a contest prep at the highest level knows you're going to be injecting almost every day. So, when it comes to blood levels, like I do know with some of my guys in prep, I will have them dose some of their fast acting drugs every day. The acetate esters, it's a propionate ester. Yes. Can you go every other day? Yes. Do I do it with some people? Yes. And then there are certain people that I do it every day with because they may take a pre-workout. The blood levels are going to stay more stable. But when it comes to things like TRT or even just off-season drugs, split it up. Give your body a break from all the pinning. Give your mind a break from all the pinning.
Yeah.
And that's my stance on it.
Yeah, I mean, mine's similar. Like, if you don't have to, why are you doing that? There's a reason why if you go to TRT clinic, they do them once a week or twice a week, like, because nobody wants to do that. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I fucking hate it. I hate injecting myself. Like, it's one thing if it's like Retta in my stomach or like PPC or something, like that doesn't bother me. But like, yeah, doing TRT or, it sucks. It hurts. And also, like, what I've noticed too is most people don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't know how, they don't know the right spots. They don't know how many spots you can do. Like when I talk about spreading that out, it's like side delt, rear delt, lat, different parts of the lat. You can do. I don't really do glutes and quads anymore. I did when I was first starting out, but learned that the hard way. That's not good. But like, okay, so now you're in more pain. It's more chance for an infection the more times you're hitting the same spots, and so yeah, like I say, like, if you're taking certain things that are fast acting, yeah, you have to do more often, but like if you don't have to, there's no point to it. I never noticed a positive from just taking testosterone every day either. It just, if anything, the bulbous doses made me feel better for longer, just like you said.
Yeah, it's the same thing. And two, people don't realize sticking a needle in a muscle is a trauma.
Yes.
It's going to cause some sort of inflammation. Sticking needles, I want to make this clear. Sticking needles in your body is not normal. It's not a normal thing to do.
No.
And I think everybody's trying to normalize it, but it's not normal using any type of needle. So, either be off season or pre-contest, or even if you don't compete, you have to realize every time you do that, it's a trauma. Every time you do, it's a risk of infection. So if you could do it less, do it less.
100% agree. Okay. On that note, talking about normalizing stuff. All right. I'll start with this one first. Best peptides for ladies.
I'll let you lead off that one.
All right. I'll talk about safety, so I'll talk about the big one first. GH, I think is fine for what's that?
Well, wait, what's the goal?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, let's come up with like a goal so we're not.
Okay.
So I'm not all over the place.
Yeah. Okay. So goal wise, talk about she's a competitor. I know who this is. She's a competitor. So we'll just say contest prep, or I'll say contest prep first, and I'll say off season after that, or muscle growth. Okay. So then let me back that up. Best peptides for contest prep. I think the first one would be like a GLP. So Retta, I think that's like my favorite one for someone, especially they don't want to take some kind of like an actual PED. They don't want to get into that. Retta, obviously, I think that's great for fat burning. The basics of BPC, TB500, and KPV, those are, you can get them like in the mix, like the Clo mixes. I think they're very, very safe. I haven't seen anybody with negative side effects from those. And correct me if I'm wrong, I really don't know any from BPC or TB500. KPV has been getting more and more popular. I love it. It's helping my stomach a lot, and especially if you're utilizing Retta. And lastly, so sorry, OGH. So I think the strongest, best peptide to use, like for overall health and everything, is GH. And if you take it the right amount, I think it's still safe for females. For fat burning or for muscle recovery.
It's a nice little stack there.
I didn't say everything. I'm just saying these are things that
But I agree with you on the growth hormone for men and women, especially for women though, because I'm going to try not to go on a tangent. But the PED use with the women is out of control.
Crazy.
It is so out of control. And at the moment, and I'm not prepping women. I prep, lifestyle women that are any of my current clients, wife or girlfriend. But I want nothing to do with the competitors at the moment because of the level of drugs. And that's just my own personal belief. And you and I hear everything that goes on. The girls taking Tren and Halo testing.
Wild.
75 milligrams of Winstrol and 300 milligrams of Primo. It's just, and you just watch what these poor girls are doing to themselves. I just want to know.
And shame on their coaches, and shame on them for taking on these women and say, "Oh, I can make you go pro this fast," slamming them with drugs just to make themselves look better, and then not giving a fuck about their reproductive system and how it's going to affect their voice and everything else that's going to change in their body. Like, it's despicable. I can't stand it.
Because when bodybuilding is done, they're going to be left with the effects of it. And
we bounce back. They don't.
That's right. That's right.
That's permanent.
So growth hormone for women, I love. I think it is a very safe, for the most part, peptide that women can use for muscle growth, fat loss, recovery. Now, of course, that isn't a green light to say, oh, just go take all the GH that you can, because everything has, a reaction from it, any drug you put in your body. So be cautious with anything you take. But I'm going to say growth hormone, the GPCs and TB500s if you have injuries. I know that a lot of women like GHKCU, or I don't know if it's GHKCU or CU. That's great for hair, skin, and nails, but also to inflammation, the joints. That actually grew my hair quite a bit.
You put it on topically or you injected it?
So I was doing both.
Okay.
I was injecting 1 milligram a day and using the topical. I'm taking.
Yeah, your hair did get thicker for sure.
It got a lot thicker and longer. You need some topical on that.
Like that dude with the bowl of ice water, I'll just dunk my head in.
Yeah. Growth hormone, the TB500s, BPC, as you said, KPV, and this isn't a stack. I'm just putting together GHKCU if you want to grow your hair and make your skin look pretty. But as a whole, I would say that's on a GLP. If you're in prep, and make sure you monitor your thyroid, check your thyroid before using a GHP. Make sure there's no family history of thyroid cancer or tumors. Of course, you should know if you have an autoimmunity issue. But those are some good roundabout peptides that are safe for the most part for women. And I know some people bring up the GH analog, secretagogue drugs. I'm personally not much of a fan of them. If you're going to take something to boost growth hormone, take growth hormone.
So then because of that, let me see. So on that note, I think we agreed on that. And then I was asked this. So Tesamorelin, post-workout in evening, if you're training in the evening, if you're also using GH at night. So you want to go?
So they say some people say to separate them. Some people say there's no difference. I mean, logically thinking, if you're taking Tesamorelin, which is going to tell your body to output more GH, taking GH at the same time may be counterproductive, I believe. I don't know 100%. I'm just going by what I've seen online. I mean, I think logically thinking, I would split them apart.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think?
I would just take GH. I wouldn't even mess with the other one.
At that point, yes.
Like, and this is coming from someone like, I'm sponsored by a peptide company, by Omega Amino. They sell Tesamorelin. It has shown to work. Okay. However, if you're already taking GH, they ain't nothing better than the real thing, Right. So like you compare like Serostim to any analog, it ain't the same. No. I don't care what anybody says, it ain't the same. It's just very, very hard to get real GH. It's very, very hard to get, especially like pharmaceutical stuff, so like there's so many fakes out there. So I get it. If you want to go that route, it's definitely safer, and it's more readily available. It's affordable, because if you start adding it up, if you're taking the amount of Tesamorelin that you need, it starts getting pretty damn expensive too, especially if you're adding multiple analogs like that.
Extremely. And
what we're talking about, if people don't understand what we're talking about, so these analogs, there's different ones that cause like a drip effect of, from your pituitary to produce more, growth hormone. There's ones like MK677, which is like, they cause like a bleeding effect, which I don't love. It's there's a few people where it could work for like maybe some appetite stuff, but then there's GHRP6. There's these other versions of these peptides, For me, like I just would go back to the basics, like if you can afford and get real GH, then I would go with that.
Yeah, and then there are people who can't get GH, but sure, if you want to spend the money, go ahead and spend the money on it. But it's, I don't like the fact that some people do compare them to GH, because if it was that simple and if it was that comparable, why would people spend money on GH in the first place?
Yeah.
Exactly. Would you use Serostim if you could use Tesamorelin and GHRP?
No.
So
no. It's like
I don't know if we answered your question. We don't typically use it. Like I have Tesamorelin in some clients' plans because they have access to it and they insisted on it. So, but yeah, that's
if you really want to use it, then like, yeah, but like if you're already having GH, I wouldn't even Just do the GH. But
Right.
if you're going to take them, you should separate them, because it wouldn't make sense to like cause more production while you're also having an exogenous GH at the same time.
Exactly.
So I think, yeah. All right. So I think that answered that. Not a stupid question. It's a very, very valid question.
And that is a good question.
Okay. On that note too. Well, not on that note at all. I know I said that. All right. So how to approach a post-show rebound, especially with cravings?
I think that person said first show. I believe they said first show.
Okay.
Do you want me to start it off, or you want to start off?
Go ahead.
So, okay. So I know some people are not going to like what I'm going to say, but there's two parts to it. So I believe he said first show.
Okay.
I believe everybody should experience a post-show rebound without a GLP. And why am I saying that right away? So you know what it feels like post-show to be very hungry, to be very tempted to cheat on your diet. Because again, there's a lot to learn from that. You'll know about what to expect in future contest preps. What if you use this GLP drug, retatrutide, tirzepatide, whatever, let's say retatrutide, and then in your next show or future shows, you won't be able to get it again. You never know what's going to happen to manufacturing of any drug that's on the gray market, we'll say. I do feel there is a lot to learn from somebody at least having a post-show rebound, to feel what it goes through, to learn how to be strong against their temptations and cravings, to see what it feels like for those hunger hormones to come back after a long dieting phase. So that's that part. Now, even with pretty much all my athletes without GLPs, the hunger rises for quite a bit post-show, because we're not going to be slamming food post-show. You don't want to do that. You need to start working it up very slowly over time as the body needs it. But just because you're starving doesn't mean your body needs more food. People think, I'm starving, my body needs more. It's not the case. Your hunger hormones, ghrelin, is going nuts. Leptin is higher. So it doesn't mean you need more food. It's just your body was so held back for so long that it's calling for it.
So to cut you off for a second, and this is where I said you need to be able to speak that language. Don't always listen to your body. You need to know what these things mean, Yeah. So if your coach says to eat this, but you say, oh man, I'm hungry, I should probably go get that McDonald's to recover from my workout. No, you shouldn't. Okay. So I like you going.
So you're building the food up slowly. You're drinking water. It's going to dissipate at some point. Now, if you're on the more experienced side, that's where the GLPs can come into play, retatrutide. And, if you dealt with it for so long, if you feel you can use the background benefits of a GLP like retatrutide for insulin sensitivity and inflammation, which it's incredible effect in inflammation, then sure, go for it, especially if you don't want to deal with just being starving all the time. That's when you use it. But that's my two-sided answer. So, but also to make sure post-show your diet is full of variety. See, carbs may not be on the higher end. Include fruits, include vegetables. The fruits will help with your sweet tooth. At least you're covering your micronutrients across the board and kind of just getting that dopamine going with the sugar in the fruits and the different tastes. What comes to mind for you?
So I'm gonna give a little bit more answers to this because I agree with what you said. So now I'm just gonna add some to it. So immediately after the show, so go ahead and enjoy your food. It's okay. Get it out of your system. That doesn't mean eat your way back home. It means go enjoy a meal, maybe breakfast or something. And right away, you shouldn't be ghosting your coach. Stay in contact, stay communicative, and be ready for a check-in. Let's say if your show is on Saturday, be ready for a check-in on Monday. So right away, set that expectation. I always set the expectation like weeks out from the show that, hey, you're gonna have cravings. You're gonna, we're gonna have a meal and everything, but I'm gonna have you reverse diet afterwards, and we're gonna get you back on plan to make sure that you stay healthy, for your kidneys, for your heart and everything, because you can get inflammation in your heart too. It's not good. So get you right back on. So yeah, I think that going right back in, getting back on the lower carb diet, if that's what was leading you into the show anyway, getting right back into the training, going back to the cardio. You don't have to be if you're doing some crazy amount of 2 hours of cardio, I don't think you need that. but do it like it shouldn't be so far drastic from your prep that like it's like your whole body's rebounding. It's just you're slowly increasing your cardio, or you're slowly decreasing your cardio, you're slowly increasing the food. And if you do that right, those cravings are going to go down anyway. Like if you get back on the plan. If you're adding in some kind of sugary bullshit treat like every day, you're just going to keep that growling up the whole time. You're going to keep wanting the bad food. Yep. It's a drug, And when you spike that insulin up and drop back, like your body's response is to ask for more, So you start adding the MSGs in and all this other stuff too. Like your body's want more. Now, what I will say is, go have your Diet Coke. You can have your cheat meal once a week. Go on a date night, with your, wife, husband, girlfriend, whatever. And that should be something to look forward to. But then you should be right back on that plan, and we'll make some kind of a goal for you. So, yeah. And then, if you're more experienced, then we can work in the Retas or the Terzepatide if it's just going to be too much, especially when it comes to like, if I have a high level competitor that might be competing again at some point, then let's utilize some Reta and get rid of some of that inflammation and get you right back on track to keep you healthy. Like use it as a tool. But like you said, you should know what real cravings feel like if it's your first show, because then you don't know because you still feel hungry. I've said this before. If you're on Reta, you're not totally not hungry all the time. You just get fuller faster. And the cravings go down. Yeah. But like, if you never felt that before, you're going to have no idea what the difference would be,
Sure. So, that's a great point. And, it does make you feel fuller when you eat. So again, guys, it's a tool. And there are going to be some people out there who say, but why should they, deal with that when we have these tools? Deal with it at least once so you know what it feels like and you could decipher what cravings are and what they aren't. So.
In the Army, why do we do land nav when we have GPSs? Do you think that if we're going on a patrol, like if you're in an actual like hostile environment that we don't have GPSs? Because what if, like you said, what if Red is not available? What if it becomes impossible to get? What if my GPS shuts off and my Garmin doesn't work and I can't find? No, you have to be able to use your compass and your protractor and find your way. It's just the basics first. You learn how to do that, and then you can go to college later. Start out with the basics and you do your quantum physics.
That was a great analogy. Why do you use land nav when we have GPS? That's great.
Yeah, it has to be done. It's also the great equalizer too. It's a lot of people quit. Okay, so we'll segue that. 1 second, I'm trying to find my mouse here. All right, and then we'll go into this one because this is kind of the same. So, favorite peptide / PED protocol post show into the off season.
1,000 milligrams of Tren.
Right off the bat.
800 right off the bat. Let's just rip it. That is a joke. So again, it depends on the person, the experience level, how long have they been on cycle for, how rough of a prep it was. We're going to be running blood work very soon. So again, it really depends. Like, Chris is open about what he does. Post show, he did 2 shows, USA's, went right into Tampa. He had a very long year, especially because we hit the ground running right as soon as he recovered from his surgery. So we put him on a TRT dose of testosterone, kept his GH in, kept the Reta in. What other peptides are you taking, Chris, if you want to share it?
Yeah, I can share it. So if anybody didn't watch the last episode, they don't know what's going on. And I guess since then too, I talked to an endocrinologist as well, and I got diagnosed with Hashimoto's. So I experience swelling and inflammation, all sorts of shit. So it affects my joints. It affects everything down to like my fingers and stuff. So like, I want to make sure that I keep inflammation down. So I use BPC, TB500, and KPV on a daily basis. And I've tried in the morning, tried at night. I do those, and then pre-training. We both work with Modern Amino as well. So I use the aminos. I use carnitine from them, and I use like a citrulline-based amino blend. It's like a little pump thing, but that's not like PEDs. Those are just amino acids that you can use. Yeah. So just to be honest, but yeah, peptides-wise, BBC, TB500, KPV, and a moderate dose of GH.
Yeah, so that's a solid stack right there for you guys. Because post-show right away, for a lot of people, it's going to be let's recover. right? Let's get health markers back where they should be. Let's keep inflammation down so we can go into the off season fresh and ready to grow. And then there are some cases where I may keep somebody on a moderate dose of testosterone and some masteron, some growth hormone may work in an insulin in some way. But again, at that point, you don't need a lot of drugs post show. Your body is so sensitive that it's just going to soak up all the food anyway. And you're going to put on weight with such ease that you do not need to go crazy with drugs post show.
But what you said though, so you said soak up all the food. Now, what he doesn't mean is if you eat fucking McDonald's every day, it's gonna, because you will soak it up. It's gonna go into your body fat. So
I've done that before.
What's that?
I've done that before.
Yeah,
my first show.
So we've all done the stupid shit, and that's why we are better coaches now, because we know the wrong thing to do, and we know when you're lying. So, yeah, if you eat the right foods. Like it's basically your diet. You're continuing that. Yeah, you can add a little bit more. Like for me, I added, more flavor to my food. It's not even crazy. It's basically just a contest prep diet. It's going to be positively partitioned into your muscles. You're going to absorb it all. Your GLUT4 receptors are going to be turned on like crazy from beating up your muscles, while they're all crazy pumped in the gym and everything too. So basically what I mean is when you're done training, your body's going to soak up those carbs a lot faster than even you ever thought it could. So, and that's why I think I'm growing so fast between that and the Retta. I think Retta is actually helping me grow, to be honest.
That will. So I don't take credit for this. As Jason Theobald has said multiple times, if your cells are functioning optimally, that's when we could use that word. It's going to absorb the drugs and utilize the drugs better. It's going to utilize the food better. Inflammation is going to be lower. If your cells are able to utilize all these things, then what's going to happen? Of course, you're going to fucking grow more. So, it's a lot of people don't realize that too. So, I mean, the Retta definitely has an effect. He says the cells go through autophagy.
And
so,
yes. And on that note too, so something I want to bring up. So ever since we started, with my doctor and everything, taking levothyroxine, I put on muscle like crazy too. So levothyroxine is T4. So I want to explain this to people too. If your thyroid is not functioning correctly, if your T3, your T4 is not at the right level, you're not going to lose weight as fast. Yes, we all know that, but you're also not going to be putting muscle on. So if your thyroid isn't functioning to full capacity, your muscles aren't going to be as sensitive for IGF and testosterone as well. So, and for just general like protein synthesis. So their thyroid is so important to make sure that that's healthy. So that's why we talk about getting blood work and everything. So the fact that we ended up having to up my thyroid dose, we went from 50 micrograms to 100 for the T4. Now we went to 150 with my doctor. And like right away, I noticed that I was growing faster immediately. I could like eat my food. It was like going into the black hole and then making muscle.
Did your energy go up, Chris? I know.
Oh, yeah. I was wanting to sleep the whole day. I felt terrible.
Yeah. And just to put it out there, in case you don't know or you didn't hear Chris, he didn't fry his thyroid in his prep. He's dealt with some autoimmune issues for what's been a year and a half?
A couple of years, yeah.
Couple of years. So this all didn't occur in his prep. It was just he was fighting it off without answers. Went on T4 early this year. And post show, he needed to get that dosage up. But yeah, I mean, if your thyroid isn't, I know this is so far off the topic of the question. Sorry,
I knew it was going to happen, but still.
But it's giving more information. If your thyroid isn't working, how do you expect everything else to work? I mean, it's like one of the master controllers systems for the body. I mean,
100%.
look at how messed up you get when you have, a flare up with your Hashimoto's. Look at women. It destroys their hormonal system, when their thyroid is out of whack.
People thought they had cancer because, you can't have thyroid cancer, but because of how fucked up their hormones were because of their thyroid.
Yep.
Yeah. And all the fact, the thyroid does whatever the hell it wants. That's what people don't realize. Like it's got its own thing going on. And when those numbers are off, it could fuck everything up.
That's right. So, definitely want to make sure you're staying on top of your thyroid health. Now, not to go too off where my brain's already going. Now, realize as you get closer to the show, especially in naturals, but if you're not using any type of thyroid supplementation, your thyroid may downregulate because you're restricting food, your cardio is up. So there are some natural remedies for bringing back your thyroid function post-show. So just realize if you do run your thyroid numbers post-show and it is a little bit lower than normal, it is more so normal being at the end of a diet phase, especially with restricting yourself. So,
and since we're talking about health and everything, I know they asked for peptide and PED protocol, but I think short answer, like it seems like pretty much just the basics. For the most part, I have people go back onto TRT, and if they're using growth, keep them on that. Maybe throw in Massaro on, like you said as well. Keep the estrogen in check, and it tends to help. But keep it really, really simple. But I want to add this in too. I don't think enough people really care about like their actual health. So something that we did that I think was very, very beneficial is I went and got IVs with like all the different vitamins and minerals and glutathione, NAD plus. Don't take too much of it at one time. You can get a pretty bad reaction because it's made from niacin, so you get like a really bad niacin flush. But no, so like certain things to NAD to help you with your mitochondrial function, keep your metabolism going in the correct way, glutathione, clean out that liver and everything. And then I was using intramuscular glutathione for like every day for like the first month. And I think doing these things to get your blood work in check and get yourself healthy is super important. And I'll say this again, if you're willing to invest in PEDs, you're willing to invest in a coach, invest in the health supplements as well. Those are not negotiable. You should be taking care of yourself. You can't just look great on the outside and then just be a shit show on the inside. If everything about you looks bad, like your skin, if you look inflamed, if everything hurts and everything, that's not a good sign. Something's off, or like me, like I was super tired during the day. Something's off, so do all these things to get yourself healthy.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't realize they could find, if they dig a little deeper, they could find that they do have the money to spend if they stop spending it on nonsense. So, bodybuilding isn't cheap, and you shouldn't skimp out on anything that it has to do with. So,
yeah. All right. Pretty long answer to that question as normal. Okay. Did that one. All right, we're getting towards the end of the questions, which is good. All right, so let's throw in this one here. Oh, and then all right, best time to check blood work. It says during prep, but I'll say kind of whenever.
Yeah,
what do you think the best time to check blood work is?
There really isn't a best time during prep. I mean, right in the middle of it is good. If towards the end, if I'm having issues or see that somebody's struggling either with fat loss, their look is off, something is off, then it's towards the end, we're going to run it, but if you're going to run blood work during prep, right in the middle,
Mm-hmm. And then we talked about this on the last podcast. Before you're going to do like a push phase, a blast, whatever you want to call it, you should be doing blood work then. Make sure everything's in line before you start adding in a bunch of extra goodies, before you start prep. I think it's important to make sure everything's in line first. Like anytime you're going to start, like you put a car on the track, make sure everything's good to go. Don't just rip your car out on the track and blow everything that you can out there. So yeah,
it could be the perfect storm brewing inside and you don't know.
And
there are even sometimes randomly I'll tell guys in the middle of whatever phase you're in, let's run some blood work. Let's see what's going on the inside before we go any further here. It's good also to see when you're in the middle of some of these phases, like what stress is the person under with given compounds. So
yeah. And then also say for some of my lifestyle clients or some people who are trying to fix blood work, per se, let's say they have subclinical hyperthyroidism, just elevate a little bit, maybe some stuff going on. Okay, let's hold off on that for a little while and let's try to fix all this first. And it's probably going to be 4 to 6 weeks later, so I'll have them run, even if it's just certain tests, maybe not a full panel, but hey, go check out these 4 or 5 things if you can, and that way I can make sure, okay, we corrected that, easy correction, wasn't something I was worried about. I want to make sure that we got that right. And then we can go into your push phase, so
cool.
Okay. This randomly got in there. So
the hell's that? Was that on your end?
Yeah, someone asked, Ask
Favorite scary movie? Two Girls, One Cup.
terrifying.
Here, you start this one.
I'll tell you, I'm terrified of scary movies. I hate them. So like my favorite one, I guess, would, believe it or not, from when I was a kid, it scared the shit out of me, was Signs, because I lived upstate and there was corn everywhere.
Oh my, no way. You remember? So, dude, I know one of my brothers are going to watch this. Do you remember the part where they're watching the TV? He's got the hat on, the tinfoil hat, and they're watching, and it's like in Argentina on the news. And the kid in the TV's like says something in Spanish. It's Karasi, it's behind, and the thing comes out
in the window. Yeah.
Yep.
Like looking outside or whatever.
It walked out. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that shit fucked me up.
Dude, I remember being a kid. I was petrified. Yeah.
I was determined. I knew that I was gonna get abducted. I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I'm done for.
Signs. Oh my god, of all movies.
Yeah. It was a good movie. I still like that movie.
It was one of my mom's favorite movies. Mel Gibson? Yeah.
So funny thing. So my grandma, God rest her soul, she's no longer with us. But when I used to go and hang out with her, she moved from Brooklyn to Staten Island. So I go stay with her for a bunch of time, or then she moved to Florida to stay with her. And my mom would be like, hey, don't go take him to no scary movie. My grandma loved horror movies and I hated them, so she'd go and take me to the movies and see some horrible like exorcist shit. I'm like, oh my God. So like, I don't have my mother around. I'm like, oh my God, someone's going to come in the window and kill me or something. So not a huge fan of scary movies.
You know what you and Andrew need to watch? Does she like them?
No.
Okay. All right. I don't think so. Recently, I haven't watched scary movies in years, but recently we watched Weapons. It's called.
I heard. Yeah. Nick Walker was saying that was really good.
Dude. Oh my God. So when I first started watching that movie, I'm like, this is corny. This is really corny. But we started watching it and I'm like, wait a second. This is really good. And realized how fucked up of a movie that was. When I was done with that movie, like I remember we're laying in bed and every little noise, she goes, was that just a tree branch? I'm like, or palm tree? I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that was. In my head, I'm like, there's something in the house.
Yeah. Oh man. So like, you grew up Catholic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I grew up Catholic too. So like anything with the devil, man, I'm like, that's real. No way. Like,
yeah. Well, that's those movies I stay away from the last 2 years because
I don't want to invite that shit into my life.
No. Then that's funny. When we in the middle of the movie or 3/4 of the way, she goes, do you think we should be watching this? I'm like, listen, if you're going to give that stuff power, it's going to happen. We're already this far into the movie.
It's just a movie, right?
Yeah.
It's funny too, because like, I like thrillers. Like I like thriller type movies, something like that. That's like realistic. Like there's some kind of killer or something like that. I don't mind that, but what show I actually like that was like the supernatural show it was that Black Mirror. I don't know if you ever saw that.
I never saw it.
It's like a bunch of every show is like a different little movie. It's like an hour long maybe, but it's every episode's like a different weird little story.
Wait, she was watching that. I watched one of the episodes with her.
It's
pretty messed up. Yeah. Pretty messed up.
But like it's not like super scary, but it's just fucked up. It gets you thinking. A lot of it's like sci-fi, like futuristic stuff. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I watched one of them with her. But
we downloaded those when I was driving to Alaska. So
man,
people don't realize how far Alaska is away. By the way, everyone thinks it's floating over there in the Pacific. It's like way up there. Like Washington was a halfway point. We downloaded a bunch of Black Mirror episodes. Now I'm driving through Canada, and it's like way up in like the Yukon territory. There's no road. I'm on a dirt road. I haven't seen a car in 12 hours, and I'm sitting here like watching Black Mirror while I'm driving. I'm like we're gonna fucking get killed out here. Like,
not a smart idea.
Yeah, I'm just like,
not a smart idea.
Put something on. Put some country music or something. Make me happy.
Yeah, not a smart idea.
Yeah, man. All right, that was the last question. So, is there anything else you want to bring up?
No, that was it. I think we could wrap it up. We're an hour and 20 minutes in. I know we said in the beginning yet again 40 to 60 minutes, but it's okay.
Yeah. Dom, where can everyone find you on social media?
Dom Cardone IFBB. Is that it? Yeah. DOMCARDONE IFBB on Instagram.
Yep. And IFBB Pro Chris Massaro on Instagram. And I'll say it this time, we said it in the beginning, but please, everyone, if you can like and subscribe, we'd love that. It'll eventually help support this channel, and we're excited to bring on a bunch of guests and make this better and better. So got a bunch of little kinks that we're trying to work out. So yeah, we'll learn.
So we'll get it. We're going to get better every episode. So
absolutely. Hope everyone liked it, bro. I'll talk to you soon.
Cool. Talk to you soon, dude.